All right, let's get into it. Today, we're going to crack the code on all those weird, confusing numbers that, actually move our money all around the globe. You've been there, right? You're staring at some online form, trying to send money, and bam, it hits you with this question. Do you need a SWIFT code, an IBAN, or a routing number? It honestly feels like a high-stakes pop quiz. And you're just thinking, if I get this wrong, where on earth is my money going to end up? Well, don't worry. We're going to make this super simple. First, we'll cover what these codes even are. Then, we'll zoom in on the one you probably use all the time here in the US, the routing number. After that, we'll go global with SWIFT and IBAN. By the end, you'll have a sort of financial GPS, so you'll always know exactly which one you need. So, what are we really talking about with these codes? I mean, they're not just random strings of digits. They are the invisible plumbing, the secret language that makes the entire global financial system actually work. The easiest way to think about it is like a postal service for your money. Seriously, each code is like a different part of an address, and it tells your funds the exact route to take. Doesn't matter if it's going to a bank down the street or one halfway across the planet. Okay, so let's start at home with the one most of us in the US are gonna see all the time, the routing number. This is basically your money's local address. And get this system is over 100 years old. Yeah, back in 1910, the American Bankers Association came up with it to solve a huge problem: how to sort these massive piles of paper checks. By 1911, it was the standard. And today, that same 9-digit code is the engine behind pretty much everything, from your paycheck's direct deposit to paying your bills online. So what does it actually do? Well, that 9-digit code's only job is to identify one specific US bank. That's it. It tells the system, hey, this is the bank that's responsible for this payment. And those 9 digits, they're not just random. Nope. They're broken into parts that identify things like the Federal Reserve District and your specific bank. But the really clever part is that last digit. It's called a check digit. It's a little math trick that lets machines instantly verify the whole number is correct, which cuts down on a ton of transfer errors. Pretty smart. So, where do you find this thing? Well, the classic spot is the bottom left corner of a paper check. But I mean, who has those anymore, right? The easiest way is to just log into your online banking app, go to your account details, and it's almost always listed right there. Okay, but what happens when you need to send money out of the country? Well, that's when you need a totally different set of keys, the SWIFT code and the IBN. First up is the SWIFT code. You might also see it called a BIC, which just stands for Bank Identifier Code. This code, usually 8 to 11 characters, is like a bank's global address. It doesn't care about your individual account at all. Its one and only job is to identify the correct bank or even a specific branch anywhere in the world. And just like a routing number, the format makes a lot of sense. The first few letters are the bank code. Then you've got the country code, then a location code. Some of them even have a little extra code for the specific branch at the end. It's a really efficient way to pack all that info into just a few characters. Now pay attention, because this is where a lot of people get mixed up. The IBAN, or International Bank Account Number, does a completely different job. This thing is a long string of numbers and letters, up to 34 characters. It doesn't just find the bank. It pinpoints one specific individual account inside that bank. So here are the key things to remember about IBANs. They always start with a 2-letter country code. They were created for and are mostly used in Europe and some surrounding areas. And this is the most important part for anyone watching in the US. The United States does not use the IBAN system. If you have a US bank account, you do not have an IBAN. Okay, so let's put this all together. Think of this as your ultimate cheat sheet for navigating these codes, your own personal financial GPS. Here is the absolute simplest way to remember the difference. A SWIFT code gets your money to the right bank, the building. The IBAN gets it to the right account, the specific mailbox inside that building. It's that simple. And that's exactly why, for a lot of international transfers, you're going to need both of them. Looking at them side by side really makes it clear. What's the main purpose? SWIFT finds the bank, IBAN finds the account. What's the format? SWIFT is short and sweet, 8 to 11 characters. IBAN is a long one, up to 34. And how are they used? SWIFT is truly global. We're talking over 200 countries. IBAN is mostly a European thing. They do different jobs, but they work together. So after all that, we get to the big question. Which code do you actually use and when? Let's get practical and break down the real-world situations. Okay, this is easy. You need your routing number for any and all money transfers that happen inside the United States. Setting up direct deposit, you need it. Paying your credit card bill online or sending cash to a friend's US bank account, yep, you need it. Bottom line, for any US domestic transfer, it's all about the routing number. But the second your money needs to cross the US border, the rules change completely. For an international transfer, you'll almost always need a SWIFT code to find the right bank. And if you're sending money to someone in Europe, for example, you're also going to need their IBAN to find their specific account. A lot of the time, the form will just ask you for both. So there you have it. We've untangled the mess of bank codes. But it kind of leaves us with one last big question, doesn't it? The routing number was literally designed for paper checks in 1910. The SWIFT system was built for early computers decades ago. So as money becomes instant and digital and totally borderless, are these ancient systems really built to last, or are we on the verge of something completely new? Definitely something to think about.